Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us this morning for our webinar that we're hosting. I'm very glad to be joined by Mr. Suresh from Sheffield. We recognise we're starting bang on time, so we're just going to give a few minutes for everyone to get onto the platform and get themselves organised with perhaps a cup of tea or coffee. We're very happy to be joined here. We've done a number of these webinars throughout the last 9 or 10 months, or however long we've been in the kind of the new normal. But I thought I hope it's all right, Suresh, just to ask you a few casual questions, just to kind of let time for people to join the platform. And if you could just let us know and let those international participants know how everything is in Kenya and what everything is up to at the moment regarding kind of the global situation that there is at the moment.
Alex, you're cutting off.
I was just wondering if you could give a 2-minute update on how everything is in Kenya at the moment.
I hope it's not ours.
Can you hear me, Suresh?
Now I can hear you, Alex. In between, you were off here.
Okay, I apologise, and I apologise to everyone else. I was wondering if you could give a 2-minute update on how everything is in Kenya. Suresh?
Yeah, now yes.
Okay, can you give a 2-minute update on how everything is in Kenya at the moment?
From my side, it looks okay. Can you hear me and see me?
Yes.
Okay. Is your video on?
Yes. Yeah, and Suresh, we're live as well. So we're going. If you can just give an update on how everything is in Kenya. Suresh, can you hear me?
No, you cut off in between. I can hear you in and then out.
Okay. Well, perhaps if you could just get going with your presentation, because I can hear you, then we can make a start if it's my end. Mr. Suresh?
Alex?
Yeah, perhaps if you could get going with your presentation. Apologise everyone for this. I'm not sure. I think the connection isn't the best. But if we just wait for Suresh to try and reconnect, then that's probably a good thing. I hope that everyone's well. Just to give an update from everyone from my side, we'll just try and reconnect Suresh as it is. But we are running a series of these webinars from a company called the Montgomery Group. We're traditionally exhibition organisers, so we run B2B exhibitions, and we host live events. And traditionally, those have obviously been all in person, but obviously with what's been going on with COVID in the last, I guess, since the beginning of April, we've obviously had to adapt what we've been doing and move to a more virtual and digital offering to try and stay connected with our audience. So what would be good, what we've been trying to do is run a series of these webinars. We within our events run an event called the Kenyan Hospitality Event and the Kenyan Food Event, and these are primarily food and hospitality trade exhibitions. So with the concept being bring visitors who are looking to source food and hospitality equipment to their establishments, and we invite people like Mr. Suresh from Sheffield Steel, along with his other counterparts in the industry, to showcase their experiences and their products. Just whilst we connect with Suresh, if anyone can please ask any questions. There's at the bottom of the menu, there's a few options. There's ask a question, which one person's already commented on about asking if other people can join this link. All they do is just send this URL, what is at the bottom, what is in the kind of the search bar, and if you just send them onto that, they'll be able to access this very nice and quickly. If anyone else can ask any questions, that'd be great, and we'll just try and get Suresh back. He is online. I think the look of it might be a connection issue, which is always sometimes a problem with Kenyan connections. As you can see behind me, I'm actually in the UK, so it's still quite dark outside. This isn't sunny Nairobi. It's rather cold. There we go. I think we have Suresh back. Can you hear me, Suresh?
Yes, yeah, Alex.
Okay, great. I think what might be a good thing, I know that you're joined by Anne. Perhaps Anne can close her window, just because it might be, and close her internet. It might be an internet thing. So if Anne can shut her webinar down, it means that hopefully you have the ability to have the sole use of your internet. But I just didn't spend a few minutes just talking very briefly. I think it would be good if you could just kick off and you could do your presentation, and then we can kind of hopefully take it nice and smoothly from there.
So good to go.
Yeah, good to go.
Hello, everyone. Glad to have you all. I'm about to share the screen on the presentation, kitchen insights into the design of the kitchens, commercial kitchens to be exact. So first, to start, something about myself. I'm MD of Sheffield Steel. I founded Sheffield Steel 18 years ago, dedicating my works to the commercial kitchen concepts. I am a mechanical engineer by academic qualification. I have now over 40 years work experience in product development of diverse fields. I worked in gearbox manufacturing, I worked in steel rolling mills, electric cable manufacturing, and also domestic appliances factory. Over the years, I would sum up that my expertise now lies in giving shape to ideas, stainless steel fabrication works, and entrepreneurship. So this is my everyday work. For me, Sheffield is a big lab. I come here at 8 o'clock every day morning. I work about 8-10 hours. Every day I have an assignment. So to be specific, my work now is involving designing solutions and giving and living up to the vision that I have for Sheffield Steel. I'll take you through shortly on Sheffield quickly by the numbers so that you can appreciate the amount of work or the data that I have traversed and my team has traversed at Sheffield. And that's really what gives us the benefit, the advantage of looking at this field of designing kitchen solutions or food and beverage solutions facilities. So we at Sheffield have designed over 7,000 major facilities across Africa. And I'm just looking at the major facilities where we have done a full design build solutions. In our facilities that we have put up, over 250 million meals are prepared every year. The size of the facilities overall, if I was to sum up the facilities that we have put up, the total facility size would amount to 1.4 million square meters. That's the size of Vatican City. So that's the opportunities we have got, and that's what we have built, and they're all doing good. And this is done in 18 years. So whenever we install facilities, our focus is more on post-installation services. And it begins by training people, because all our facilities are adopting cutting edge technologies. And in this part of the world, a lot of introduction to new technologies is brought in. So we make it imperative that there is training conducted post installations. So these trainings are conducted both at Sheffield Kitchens, the training facility that we have, and on site. So we have conducted 1,000 training demonstration sessions where we bring in various market segments on the products that we introduce or we launch or we install. In our facilities, more than 70,000 professionals are working. So for professionals, it is important that they get world-class facilities. So when they look at the kitchens that have been installed by Sheffield, they're happy to work in those facilities. We have conducted over 500 training demonstrations across Africa at client premises. This together with post-installation. So sometimes the client is wanting to have a training on various aspects of operations, on service. So we do that on client premises. The heart of our works is to innovate, is a continuous work at Sheffield. We have a full-time R&D department whose job is to look at the pain areas and look at the opportunities, and we come up with concepts. We have more than 50 international partners who work with us, and they're all leaders in what they do across the world. They too are having R&D, very active R&D departments, and they too bring in new technologies into their equipment. So this is a continuous work that happens here. We also do live cooking demonstrations to give people like a test ride on the equipment that we offer. So they are confident into buying our solutions, and they can test waters in that. Overall, we have 30 product segments within the kitchens. What I have not put in these numbers is that we have 75 market segments that we supply to, repeat supplies. We have done over 20 product launches across different market segments and different product segments. We are now having nearly 18 years of experience delivering the solutions, the kitchen solutions. What we offer to our customer is one-stop solution. So this gives the advantage to our client to get a fixed time delivery, quality delivery, and a fixed cost delivery. And on top, a commitment post-installation. So what Sheffield is all about is having a vast data on what we have acquired or learned over the time from our customers, from the projects that we have executed. This is something unique. We can't kind of simulate the various operations, the various aspects. Like I just mentioned, there are 75 segments for food and beverage facilities. So this can't really be taught in classrooms. Few generic ideas can be adopted, but not really all aspects. So every project that we do involves a lot of customization. So whatever Sheffield or myself do is through the experience that we have acquired over the years. So what I'm presenting today is a very generic introduction. It's not specific. It's not going into the science at this level. Each topic is a subject in itself. So, what is required by some specific project will require a lot of math to create that solution. That's our full-time job. As I speak now, we are busy designing a food retail segment in a supermarket. We are busy doing a food storage solution for the agriculture sector, where they want to give them a food solution whereby they can put the crop of, say, a potato or a banana to sleep, and then to ripen it or to meet the demand cycle to the supply cycle. We are doing smart kiosks, IoT-based smart kiosks for coffee retail. We are doing containerized solutions, and because of COVID, we are reinventing some of the solutions, giving more focus on the health segment, hygiene segment, etc. So we are working on some product segment innovation, whereby we can ensure that the protocols are being met, not just in the food segment, but the reopening of the other facilities. So the point is that the variety of the jobs that we face every day, the assignments that come to us every day are having so much variety that there's a lot of innovation required at all the times. So that's our full-time job, and it connects with our passion, and this is the key to our success. So again, there are three topics that I'm introducing here. One is the first of all, the definition, the purpose of the kitchen design, and the second is the operation side of it, the kitchen design, which is the workflow, and the third is the ecosystem. That is where our knowledge really gets executed in operations.
Suresh, I'm just going to interrupt quickly. If you're still, I think you have stopped sharing your screen. So if you're still intending your presentation to be shown, then you might need to reshare it. Sorry.
Yeah. Doing that straight away.
Okay. Whilst you do that, if anyone has any questions, then please do ask a question at the bottom. We'll definitely get on to those towards the end. But your screen is back, Suresh, so thank you.
So yeah. So what is the purpose of the kitchen design? You know, I mean, there are architects out there, there are interior designers out there. It's been their regular cup of tea to do layouts, to do fit outs, etc. So what is this special thing about commercial kitchens which will make it different? So what is it that we keep as pivots when we do the designing part of the commercial kitchens? So as a startup, we do get a brief. We try to understand the requirement, the business model, the type of food they want to serve, what is the kind of service they will have. Is it a fast food? Is it a food distribution? Is it buffet service, etc.? So once we have understood, we run up through a lot of data simulating that assignment, and we then make sure that we bring in the pivotal factor, the principles of the kitchen design into it. So foremost, efficiency has to be important. So the kitchens that we design should be laid out in such a way that the labor input is minimum. There's no repetition of work, no back and forth. It should be using optimum energy, then selection of energy, the gas, electric, what is friendly, what is available, what is not available, three-phase, single-phase, how much was the capacity, balancing that space requirement, what should be the space allocated to this kitchen. Is it greenfield project? Do we have the freedom of deciding on the space, or is it existing brownfield project within an existing setup? Food hygiene, the heart of operations, the ultimate. Safety in kitchens, with commercial appliances, so many services running. Safety is of utmost important. Return on investment, how do we look at the equipment selection, the overall ecosystem to be built so that the client gets the return on investment at the earliest. Green ecology principle, you can't have a kitchen now without looking at the environmental factors. And durability. The equipment, one can select the equipment based on, you do a balancing act, technology versus cost versus selection of materials. So, and the ecosystem, how well it is built, so that is it durable enough to give life of beyond 5, 10, 20 years. How much do we put in? What is the budget? So the best durable specifications are to be selected. There are some basic norms you can't compromise with. For example, the equipment, the work surfaces, the entire tooling is in stainless steel. So if it is well built, so it's built for life. That's the purpose. That's what our the criterias, what our design team put in front, and then they look at each of the areas, how to size it, what are the checklists for each of the areas, and how to do the equipment selection, what is the sequence of the areas from one step to the other next step. So workflow. The workflow has to be designed in a manner that we have, like shown in the design principle, no cross-contamination. So here comes the principle of adopting the best food hygiene practices. The way it is designed, the way the workflow is how the food moves forward and doesn't have to come back to avoid any cross-contamination. So you have the stage where the food comes in a raw stage, then it will be either stored, then it is processed, it is cooked, it's served. So the various operation areas are put in sequence of the food moving forward. So the first of the area in the commercial kitchen will be receiving area. That's where the food comes in as per the order. It is received to check the quantity, quality. It is sorted. The various kind of fresh produce, the dry, the meats, the various kind of meats. If it is coming straight from the farm, it will require some cleaning. So there is a tooling available in the receiving area, a weighing scale, a table where the sorting can happen, some trough for pre-washing, and some, this is a mucky area, so some cleaning tools are also provided in this area. Next to the receiving area, there can be a receiving clerk, an accounting clerk, and a representative from the kitchen to make sure the quality is acceptable. Next is the storage areas. It's again a very wide scope of operations here. It's a very developed facilities required in storage area. You have storage areas for dry foods. You have storage areas for fresh produce, the vegetables, the fruits. Each one of them have got dedicated tooling. Each one of the storage areas require a particular quality of air, the humidity, temperatures. Otherwise, we will not have supply chain set in a manner that suits the operations. So there are cold rooms at either 4 degrees centigrades for the dairy or for the fresh produce. Even in the fresh produce, you can have different kind of vegetables. You can have leafy vegetables which require temperatures of between 15 to 20 degrees. You can have fleshy root vegetables or fruits which require temperature of 6 to 15 degrees centigrade. And then you have the deep freezers where your temperatures are minus 18. You can have further facilities separating various kind of meats, the poultry, the pork, the red meats, and then you also need chiller rooms maybe for thawing before supplies. You have then facilities for beverages. You can have ambient facilities or you can have cooling facilities. Depends on, again, what your storage capacities are and what are your serving needs. Again, you also have storage requirements for extra equipment. You have storage requirement for chemicals. All these have to be put up in a particular sequence. All these have to be put up, sized up, and interconnected in a manner that the operations are simpler and easier. Next is the production areas. The production can have their own storage. The production in a particular kitchen can be of various types, whether the facility is big or small. You definitely need specific tools like work surfaces. You need sinks. You need some processing tools. So production, we have dedicated areas for vegetables, for fruits, for dairy. There are pantry areas. There is meat preparation. Again, you want to avoid contamination between meats, so you have separate areas for seafood. And each of these production areas then have their own cooling storage systems. So if your production is very vast, then you got to have intermediate storage in the cooling, so you don't expose the food to ambient temperatures. Otherwise, bacteria can set in, and the red zone temperatures can spoil the food. You can have full-fledged cold rooms, or you can have stand-up fridges in these areas. Also, the ambient conditions of these production areas. For example, the meat areas, you will have air-conditioned spaces. Cold preparation, you will have air-conditioned spaces. Pastry preparations, you will have air-conditioned spaces, because the kind of food requires that kind of temperatures around 2024, so that the food is not exposed to bacteria, or even the nature of food. For example, in pastry, you have chocolates, or you have creams, which can go bad if the temperatures are not maintained. The next workflow area is cooking. This is the hot zone. This has various kind of equipment, depending on the type of operation. You have open burners, or you have hot plates, grills, fryers, you have ovens, and you have boiling pans, bread pans. So each of these equipment is dedicated for a particular operation that is required for the recipe. This area also has a ventilation system because of a lot of heat that is being produced in this area. So again, a lot of science, math goes in selecting the kind of equipment, the sizes available, the kind of service, the energy, electric or gas. A balancing act is done on this, on equipment selection. Other than ventilation, other critical services required in the cooking are the water, hot, maybe cold as well, and then the drainage system around some of the critical equipment, The boiling pan has large quantities, 100 200 liter of water, depending on the size, to be drained quickly. Then there are fire suppression systems installed in the ventilation hoods here to take care of the safety part of this operation. After cooking, the food is now transported to holding area. So again, depending on the kind of operation, a short-term holding may be required in the kitchen before the food is taken to the dining areas, or long-term holding is required if you are preparing for functions or food distribution, food retail systems. So there are type of equipment for hot holding and type of equipment for holding. There is technology available to map the temperatures continuously to ensure that there are no leakages or there is no exposure lost to the wrong temperatures. After holding, there is serving. Again, various kind of serving. Fast food serving have got different kind of passes: hot pass, cold pass. The bulk food distribution have extensive buffets for soup and salad service, for the hot food, then for desserts, and again for beverages. Um, After the serving, you have returns coming from the dining areas, starting from even trolleys. Then you have dishwash, you have warewash, you have glasses, you have cutlery, crockery. There are tooling available to ensure that there's a right type of washing and complete hygiene is achieved while washing this. So in these areas, there is a particular receiving section, pre-washing, then there are machines to go through a full chemical wash, hot water wash, drying system, and then stacking systems. Trolleys have their own wash bays. So trolleys too are washed, sometimes just steam or hot water. Waste management, very important. Keeping the food hygiene in view. Each of the areas, whether it is receiving or storage, all the areas listed above have got dedicated waste management system, the toolings. So each of these areas have got touchless dustbins, either foot operated, and they have got liners so that you can pull out the bags at the end of the operation or in between, and carry these waste bags to the rear of the kitchen where there is a sorting and storage systems. At the back, in the sorting storage system, there are separate facilities for the wet waste. It smells, so you don't want foul smell spreading across. These areas are slightly remote, not connected to the kitchen. Normally, either some kind of a cold room or air conditioning is done so that the smell is localized to that. Then there is dry waste. Again, there is a proper shelving system in that, and these areas have got hose reels for quick washing, so that this area is maintained clean. It's typical back of the house. You take care of it. You do not have leakage from this to the main operation areas. So this is a typical workflow in a commercial kitchen. Each of the areas have got their own checklists for layouts for equipment selection. This is a typical workflow for a smaller 3-star hotel, 60 rooms. You see on top, at the back is laundry, so we don't look at that. It's work in progress of one of the projects that we are doing in Kampala. There's a typical receiving area. The chef's office represents also receiving. There's a weighing scale. There is a sorting table. Then we have 3 storages: the dry store, the cold room, and the freezer. Then we have dedicated prep areas, down veg prep, meat prep, and on top we have the pastry area. You also notice that the dishwash area is in line with the service area. This is a typical arrangement, a must for commercial kitchens, whereby when the dirties come back, they don't go across the kitchen to back of the area. So dishwash areas have to be in the front so that the dirties can be dropped here while the waiters come in and then they pick up the food and go out. Central, of course, is the cooking island. This is for a mid-sized kitchen facility. This is the next layout. Again, I'll run through quickly. Is a fully extensive facility where we are taking care of all the aspects of the kitchen. Now, this really brings out the entire principles of the design requirement of a kitchen. We have the waste management on the left. We have the bay where the trucks can come in for offloading, and there's a turning radius there. So there is a separate entrance for staff, separate entrance for the food. The facility is so designed that we do not have leakages in the operations whereby the food hygiene is compromised. I think I'll explain this design further by going into the ecosystems of commercial kitchens. This is where the real aspects of the engineering comes into. This is where the consultancy part of kitchen facility designers come, and this will reflect how important it is. Use come into the food processing areas. In the kitchen ecosystem, the first is the space requirements. Every square cubic foot of the space in the kitchen. So how big the kitchen should be. There is no set rule. We always don't have the freedom of selecting the space. Almost 30 to 40% of the projects that come in are brownfield projects. They are rehabilitation projects. Typically, even if the equipment survives 5 to 10 years of their life cycle, the facilities come under a lot of pressure. So there's always renovations required in the food and beverage facilities, and upgrades required also because of the new technologies coming in. So, however, for a generic understanding, the space should be 40% of the entire facility. So 60% can be allocated to the restaurant or dining part, and 40% should be allocated to the kitchen operations. Now, where the location of this kitchen should be is another aspect. So when we get the brief, when we do the survey, or when we get the freedom of locating a kitchen, we look at the entire orientation. The challenges of having kitchen on the first floor, sixth floor, seventh floor, and the connectivity with various services. All those are factored into space selection or location selection for a kitchen. Air curtain. Keeping the kitchen hygiene into design selection. The air curtain, air is the biggest contaminant. It is at a certain temperature, it carries humidity, it carries gases, which can be damaging, and the temperatures, of course. So many times, we very commonly find that kitchens are randomly designed to have number of windows, doors. Some thought is put on, generic thought is put on it should have light, it should have air, kitchen will otherwise have heat. So all those aspects are very important. So kitchen actually should not have any direct air coming from outside. Only filtered fresh air should be supplied with control of the volume of air that needs to come in. So the way we design kitchen facility is that we stagger the operations starting from the receiving. When there is a receiving, we have a door where the raw food is still subject to the outer atmosphere. Then there is a set of doors to the storage areas. From the storage areas, then there is another set of doors to the production areas. Now, starting from production, cooking, and serving, all this is airtight areas. Sometimes you can have mechanical air curtains, but they are also subject to some leakage, and you also have to have some electrical supplies for the air curtains. So to avoid that, best is to have a system of doors in series, so that automatically you ensure that there is no direct air leakages into the operation areas.
Suresh, sorry to interrupt. We've got quite a few good questions coming in, so we can't spend too much longer. Do you think? I wonder if you can finish your slides, and then
I'll rush through the other ecosystem features. Then I'll take up the questions from there. Flooring, very common fault in commercial kitchens. People put generic tiles, will not last. Within 3 to 6 months, wrong slopes in floor create water pools and leakages. So flooring, thicker tiles, non-slip, acid-proof, or most of the kitchens that we are doing now, we are putting in epoxy or polyurethane floors so that high pressure steam wash can happen. And now for bigger facilities, are engineered plastics with interwoven tiles, so that if there's a damage, you can quickly replace the tile. They can take up high impact and pressure washing. Walls can have either large ceramic tiles, 60 by 30 centimeters, glazed. You need to minimize the joints so that the joints is what gets dirty. The tiles are normally 6 feet or 7 feet high, and above it is paint. So if we select silicone-based paint, it is washable. You can get antibacterial paint so that the mold formation doesn't happen. Walls need protection on the corners, so you put stainless steel angles, and you also can put bumper rails so that the trolley impact does not break the tiles. Or we can have stainless steel cladding on the walls, but we have to ensure there's no gap between the cladding and the wall, otherwise insects breed there. Ceiling, if it is preferred, you can have a choice when you're doing a new project that the ceiling height is 3 meters or above. That allows you to run your ventilation services comfortably, and the heat zone is upper, and you can easily ventilate from there. Depending on the number of services under the ceiling, you can choose to have a false ceiling or not. If the services from upper floor are too many, then you have to have ceilings to avoid any contamination coming down from these services. So the best ceiling would be metal ceiling, powder coated, easy to wash and maintain. Access is required to service the ventilation systems or the services running down from upper floors. Doors and windows with heavy duty ironmongery. Doors take a lot of banging from trolley. Doors open at a frequency of more than 60 times in an hour, so you can see what it's subject to. You have to have the view glass panes, small 440 by 40 centimeters, and the doors should have the push plates and the kick plates to withstand the impact from the trolleys. Tooling equipment, huge subject. Lot of customization involved. There are modular solutions here, but depending on the type of operation, specialty needs, there's always customization. Again, requires selection based on services requirement. Ventilation system, the lungs of the facility need to take out the hot air, the smoke, the suspended carbon, the CO2 from the areas and bring in the fresh air. A lot of math there to calculate the volume of air, the pressures, and the areas where each of the area requires extensive ventilation. Fire safety, a must have, different kind of tools for different areas. Cooking area has fryers, which normally causes fire because of the fumes from the fryer coming in touch with the open flame nearby. Services, electrical, gas, plumbing, drainage, very, very specialized subject for kitchens. The HACCP requirements binds you in selecting the materials, the locations, the type of services to be put in. Electricals, for example, waterproof systems, subsurface, if it is surface, all stainless steel brackets, like that. The gas systems should not be underground, should be all visible, color coded, with all the safety aspects. Alarm system, sensors with alarm system, plumbing, critical thing. Drainage system, the way it has to be laid out, should not have any cross contamination with incoming supplies, should be having stainless steel gullies and traps to trap the silt, the solids before they go out to the grease traps, etc. The dishwashing system should not go into the grease trap, should have separate traps. It is laden with a lot of chemicals. You don't spoil the grease trap by supplying the washing chemicals into it. Huge science behind the services factor. HACCP, all installation. The commercial kitchens are for public service. There are laws, local laws, there are international laws on what design principles to be adopted, what equipment, what selection, how it should be, the services selection, how it should be critical. So HACCP certification, to achieve that, there's a lot of, each of the spaces should be designed, each of the services should be implemented in a manner that HACCP can be implemented and analyzed regularly and upgraded. Green principles in food processing. Again, a huge subject. It's very contemporary. All the kitchens that we are designing, presently we are looking at the carbon footprint that will be left behind. So I'll close with some data on the carbon footprint.
Suresh, I'm just very conscious of time. Sorry, if it can be just like 1 minute, that'd be great. Just because I want to answer.
Yeah, just know this, that 1 kilowatt hour that you consume generates 300 gram of CO2 carbon footprint. So again, I'm not taking much time. I would say there is a whole lot one can do to make sure the carbon footprint is minimized. So this principle has to be actually brought up front, designing ecosystems or designing kitchens. Like I said, so I stop here. Like I said, I'm just introducing, and each of these topics is a huge subject. We are available to anytime, anyone needing. more information on particular subject, it can be made available on a short notice. You can send me mail, send me text, etc. But I'm here now to answer your quick questions with some quick answers.
Yeah. I'll just run through them quickly. For those that have asked about accessing the webinar and the slides and things, the webinar will be available to rewatch, and we'll be able to circulate all that information after this is completed. So do keep an eye on our website, the kenyahospitalityevent.com, and we'll be able to circulate details of it soon. Just in terms of quick questions, if you can keep them to literally a minute. I've got 2 or 3 here. Someone's planning to open a restaurant, and when they purchase equipment from you, are you able to do a check of the space and advise how to adopt the workflow properly?
Yes, we do. It begins from designing the entire flow, the entire facility, then equipment selection, generates bill of quantity, and then when we get to know what exactly is required to fit out that facility. Yes, we provide the entire solution.
Great. And with the hit of COVID-19, are you looking into product diversification, or would Sheffield be interested in products such as professional kitchen tools and equipment, such as cookware, storage, etc.?
Yeah, so one is that the controls of the personal hygiene control and the food input controls have been made more strict. There's an automation system that have been introduced. You don't go through this protocols. The back entry kitchen doors don't open. So HACCP representative stands and makes sure that you have done the full protocol of sanitizing both the food supply route and the personal entry route. And on the service, so once you are assured that, then inside the kitchen, you are in a closed ecosystem, so there is no problem there. Then on the serving side, the buffet are presently out. Most of the facilities are giving table service. The ordering system is touchless, but soon we are prepared. In certain areas, the whole operation is based on buffet, so there are certain screens whereby the guest is on one side, he looks at the food, he orders, and on the other side there's a steward who is plating the food and passing through the screen the plated meal. So that's already in action, and few implementations have been done.
Great. And just one final question: how does the future of cooking hygiene post-COVID look like? The actual cooking.
So I think the HACCP will play a big role, analyzing the hazard points and mitigating those hazards with particular tools. So there are, despite even pre-COVID times, this area is always been critical area. That is why HACCP standards have been created. It's not that if there is COVID, then only this tooling is required. If we follow HACCP principles and implement it to the letter, then the COVID contamination will not happen.
Okay, great. Well, look, Suresh, thank you so much for your time and all your insights. It's really interesting. I've been very lucky. I've seen your offices and your warehouse and your facilities just from the airport in Nairobi, and it's very impressive. And I urge anyone who's looking into a commercial kitchen, redesigning their commercial kitchen, either in restaurants or hotels or in whatever establishment that you do, consider the Suresh and his team of equipment, because they are fantastic. But from our side, the Montgomery Group, thank you very much for attending. And we've had over 160 people actually attend, which is fantastic. And thank you very much for your patience at the start, sorry for the technical glitches at the beginning. But we appreciate your time. Suresh from us at Montgomery Group and the Kenyan Hospitality Event, thank you very much. And if everyone can please do consider visiting our event in Nairobi in April. We look forward to welcoming the whole industry under one roof at the Sarova Centre next year in April for our exhibition, our Kenya Food and Kenya Hospitality exhibition. But thank you very much, and we hope you all are well, and we look forward to seeing you all in person very soon. So thank you, and Suresh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for being present on the show, all of you. Thanks. You're most welcome.
Okay. All right. Bye all.
Bye.